Government fails, the world's off its rails, leaders are whacked, democracy is under attack. It's time to get smart, folks, time to get real. Let's cut through the crap, tell us how you feel. Let's pull back the curtain and open the door. Get some stuff that's not bought and paid for. Let's herd border to border, coast to coast. Let's cue the talent, let's meet the host. Podcast by George.
Hello, hi, how are you? And welcome to another podcast by George. Super Tuesday's history. Put it in the books. And I don't know where we're at exactly today, but I think I know a guy that does. And I got to tell you, Stephen W. Schmidt, the Lucan Endowed Professor of Politics at Iowa State University, the guy that wrote the book, as I like to say, because it's used in virtually every political science classroom in the universities across the country, American Government and Politics Today, right over my shoulder there. You can see a little peek of it. But, when I started the podcast, I thought to myself, I got to have some legitimacy, I got to have somebody with a rep on this thing besides me. And whenever this guy's on the show, we're instantly legit, and I'm just delighted to have him. Doc, welcome back to a podcast by George.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that you are legit. You have some very, very good insights into politics, and you don't need me for that, but I'm happy to be on your podcast.
Well, I'm glad to have you here, and I'm glad to see you in your office, and maybe to be real topical here before we talk about Super Tuesday. Tell us about the coronavirus and how it's affecting Iowa State University, where you're at in your classes and that type of thing.
Well, we do have a very large international student body and international faculty, and a good percentage of them are from China. That's our largest international student group. So the university, as this thing began to basically show signs of being a real risk, began to implement travel bans. It basically said you should not travel to any of the countries where coronavirus has become prominent. And of course, the problem is it's more and more countries every day, right? It's where can you travel? Mexico, no, there are a couple of cases there. But we do have a presidential request by our president, Wendy Winterstein, to not travel. Spring break is a big problem for us, George, because spring break people travel.
Sure.
And they jam into hotel rooms in Cabo and Fort Lauderdale or wherever the students go. And, you got 10 students in a hotel room. That's never good for, preventing the spread of anything. And so there's a real high level of awareness, of concern. We're lucky. I haven't heard that anyone at Iowa State is sick or has any signs of the flu or the virus. The flu, maybe. I've had some students who couldn't come to class because they were feeling ill. There was also a test that day, so maybe that made them sick. But frankly, the mortality rate for grandmothers on test days is enormous. We should not have any more tests because we're killing off all the grandmothers. It's horrible. So we are careful. We have, there's not much you can do, George.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do.
Well,
there's no cure. You can wash your freaking hands. You can stop sticking your finger up your nose and a few other things that are probably a good idea anyway, even if there wasn't a virus. But other than that, until now, we haven't had testing kits. This is a country, the most modern country in the world, the greatest, this is the best country in the world. And we have to send our tests to Atlanta to the CDC, which takes days and days and days. Because we missed the boat or missed the train on this whole issue of creating reliable testing kits that could be distributed to centers in every one of the 50 states. And our, it's discouraging to see how of course, we know that big government and the deep state are the enemy. And so the CDC and public health and
Yeah,
all those people, they're the enemy.
right.
And now we want that enemy to please hurry up and come and prevent us from getting really sick. So,
Well, we can talk about that forever because I'm somebody that's in that camp, and the way that I look at it is, whether or not you're for Medicare for all, and we've discussed that, and whether or not
yeah,
you want to change
yeah,
health insurance and that type of thing. How about
right,
just improving the medical care in this country? And this is a perfect example. Yet people say, I don't want to change my doctor. I don't want to change anything. I love just the way this is. Okay, until you get the coronavirus, or until you need a test kit, or until you need some, high-tech treatment. We have the most high-tech military that this planet has ever seen, obviously.
yeah.
And just take some of those resources and devote it to improving medicine. God, we haven't cured anything since polio, Doc. You remember that? I mean, we need to get on some of these things. Coronavirus is a virus. It's like the common cold. How are we doing on curing the common cold? Not so good.
Not good.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, and I discussed this with a PhD in microbiology who owns a pharmaceutical company this week. And I said, aren't you concerned for your own family? You just had a grandchild that was born last week. Aren't you concerned that a lot of people living in this country will not go to a clinic or a doctor because they're going to be rounded up by the immigration service and deported to Mexico or Honduras? 11 million people or so, I think it's more, in the United States are here undocumented, or if you're a Republican, illegally. They don't often go to doctors because they're afraid of being grabbed at the doctor's office, at the clinic, at the hospital, and being deported. They pose a tremendous challenge to us being able to track people, to find out where this epidemic or pandemic, if it's that, is spreading. And that's just stupid. You don't have to be a left-wing liberal Democrat to understand that that's, for most of us, including Republicans, and my friend is a Republican, that is not a good infrastructure situation. So we need to rethink, including Republicans, need to rethink how we make available basic services like basic health care.
Yeah,
I don't care how you do it. It can be
right.
Bernie Sanders' idea, which is okay. It can be a great improvement of the Affordable Health Care Act, but don't start doing away with the only thing we have, which is the Affordable Health Care Act. Democrats have been weak in taking on that particular idea that we should, throw out the affordable health Obamacare and come up with some wonderful Trump Republican healthcare program, which doesn't exist. I mean, Republicans should say, no, we really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because most Americans are concerned about healthcare.
And when you're just listening to you talk, and we're kind of reaching the end of the road here as far as our lives are concerned, but I'm sure this has occurred to you, and it does to me all the time. It all comes back to politics, doesn't it? Your life has been devoted to this field, obviously, but all roads lead to politics in the United States.
In every country in the world, government and government services are vital to people's health and economic prosperity. You can take a country that has every single bit of potential wealth in the world, oil, minerals, gorgeous beaches, and tropical resort areas, every kind of agricultural possibility. And if the government is a right-wing government that just lets the rich people benefit from it, it's a country with a lot of poor people. If you have a big revolution and Nicolas Maduro and Hugo Chavez become the leaders, that wealth doesn't matter because the politics will override your ability to take advantage of that. And the same is true in the US. Politicians, politics, policymakers can either enhance how well we all do and how well the country does, or they can screw it up. And a lot of my students say, well, I'm taking your class as a requirement, but I'm not really interested in politics. I've told you and your wonderful listeners this, or viewers now. Yes, but politics wants you. You may not want politics. You may not like politics, but politics is going to come and get you, either in a good or a bad way.
Yeah. Well, now to turn our attention to the political arena, just to get us started here a little bit. I give you my quick take here. I was really startled. I mean, this was really fascinating stuff from a clinical perspective. You had to be really interested in this. I look at, Buttigieg and Klobuchar and Beto endorsed Joe Biden on Monday, for God's sake. And to show you the hyper-partisanship, the hyper-interest in politics or whatever in a single day, the impact of that, I think, was overwhelmingly felt, because not only did they endorse him, but in the instances of Klobuchar and Buttigieg, who had their own followings, they hung it up. They quit on the same day. So I look at that, and those folks that supported those people think, well, not only am I looking at their endorsement, the reason I can't vote for him is because the other guy is Bernie Sanders. He's the guy. Because they're endorsing Biden. So those folks, I think, had a lot to do with this surge by Joe Biden and the media, the overnight media cycle and all that. My God, a couple of weeks ago, I can't imagine us having this conversation. What a night for Joe Biden.
It's shocking, and it is unprecedented that all of a sudden someone who was counted as dead after Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada surged in South Carolina because it's not my friend, but he's an acquaintance, Jim Claiborne, the amazing congressman from South. I had a sailboat in the summers in Charleston for 4 years. And I met Claiborne usually at the airport, usually at the luggage line, where you go pick up your luggage.
Yeah.
Because he would fly in and I was flying in, and we had conversations. And he endorsed Biden after the debate. And he is like a god in South Carolina. Voters trust him. And I think that was the first really huge injection of energy into the Biden campaign, because he won South Carolina overwhelmingly. And it sent a message to some of the other states that he has won, including Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas, maybe even Oklahoma, and certainly Texas. And that was an amazing surge. Then, as you said, you had 3 people drop out. Steyer never was much of a player. I told my class that months ago. I said, Steyer is not a politician. He's not even Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump is not a politician, but he's a great showman. And Steyer wasn't. But the others dropping out. And today, former Mayor Bloomberg just dropped out. And he said, I'm going to support Biden. Now, that could be huge. And it could be huge because, number one, he has a lot of money. And if he's going to support Biden, he may give some of that money to Biden now, who has not had a lot of money and surprisingly did well in places where he had virtually no organization and no money. And the second thing is that your viewers and listeners are going to be interested in this fact. All the delegates that came for the ones who have dropped out, including Buttigieg, including Klobuchar, including Bloomberg, they can go to Biden. They're not committed now that these candidates either have dropped out or suspended their campaigns. They can say, no, you're not in anymore, so I'm going to go support somebody. And, they may support Bernie. I mean, Bernie and Biden are the only thing that's left, okay? Let's make that clear today. I know, I'm sorry. some of you love Elizabeth Warren. She's great. But as one person who called me late last night, I was up all night, said, this season of primaries proved that a Native American cannot be elected president. And that's why Elizabeth Warren is, maybe not, I don't know. I think maybe this person was being sarcastic. Do you think so?
Maybe.
George, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think sadly it may mean that a woman can't really get enough support in the primaries and caucuses this season, which is a continuation of the same old, which is a lot of voters think, yeah, woman president, we need somebody else in there.
Yeah.
A guy.
And a guy and an old guy, Doc. There's only one candidate left in the race that's under 70. I got to get her name in. You know who that is?
Oh, she got delegates.
Yeah. And Americans. And under
Tulsi Gabbard got one delegate.
Yeah.
She got 83,555 votes in Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which, give her credit for, as you said, continuing the conversation about American involvement in other countries and how much we spend on military adventures and so on. So I was happy to see that. She deserves, a reward like that. But, she's not going to really do a lot. But
she really is working hard, and she's doing it by, you talk about the old-fashioned way. She's doing town hall. She's not getting any media. She's going, except for appearing on Fox once in a while. Now, the one thing about it is, based on the earlier rules for the debates, that delegate would get her on the debate stage. But now, with the debates moving on to the latter stages, I don't think that's going to get it done, and I don't think the DNC is going to accommodate her, obviously. So I think you're right. I think we're going to see on that debate stage, we're going to see Biden and Sanders. I'm sorry. Yeah, Bernie.
That's right.
Yeah.
But let's not have any more debates.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's not have any more debates, which the media, the incompetent, really, truly incompetent media can't run properly. And the last one turned into basically a huge food fight. And that doesn't do much for me. I don't think it does much for everybody else. Let's stop debates. No more debates. Let the candidates go out and shake hands and have town hall meetings and maybe be on TV and be interviewed and spend money on yard signs and social media and all, but no more debates, okay? Because the debates really now are nothing more than a network or a group of networks getting ratings and hype. They're not about us learning a lot about the candidates. The League of Women Voters, that word hasn't been issued on any medium this campaign. The League of Women Voters. These are really serious, mostly older, politically savvy Democrats and Republicans. They used to run the debates, and they were boring as hell. Nobody watched them, but they were informative. Now, I think if we have a debate, okay, George, let's have Maury Povich run it. Okay?
That'd be boring as hell.
No, and he can bring in his bouncers, and when Biden and Sanders and maybe Warren, I don't know, get at each other and try to kill each other, then the bouncers can come and pull them apart the way Biden's wife, attacked and went after a vegan who jumped up on the stage in California at the rally and was trying to take over Biden's victory speech. And Jill Biden rushed over, grabbed this woman. They said if it had been football, she would have been a quarterback or a lineman. She took this vegan and pushed him off, got her off the stage. That's what I want to see if we have debates. I don't want to see the media doing this.
Yeah, and every time I tune into the debate now, it reminds me of my all-time favorite television show. I got a clip here. I want to show this clip. So take a look at this and see if this reminds you of the presidential debates. God, that guy was on every show getting out there doing that stupid dance while people threw stuff at him. I mean, my God. Okay, so that clip is on there. All right,
Yeah,
so
and that, I think, honestly, George, when debates become spectacles like the last one, it diminishes the dignity of our political process. It diminishes our respect for politicians and for politics.
yeah.
And that is not good for democracy. It may be entertaining, but it's really not good for democracy. So I don't want to see any more debates. And my recommendation to either Bernie or Biden, whoever gets the nomination in the end, is turn down any offer for debates with Donald Trump. No, do not agree to debate. And your message will be, Donald Trump is a showman. He doesn't tell the truth. You can't debate him on issues. And so debates essentially are a distraction to the voters. I'm not going to participate in it. We're going to have town hall meetings. We're going to have all kinds of half-hour programs where the candidate meets with people all over the country, and that is more informative than any debate. I know I'm the only guy who's saying this, but debates are useless. And Hillary Clinton, I think, got damaged in a debate. Michael Bloomberg got damaged in a debate. And Joe Biden, I think, if he debates Donald Trump, will probably not do well.
That's an excellent point. I mean,
I'm absolutely certain he won't do well because Trump is the, tremendous showman, and he can, do dance and throw little nuts for the media and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And Biden is an older guy who is not that good at doing that. So Biden, if you're listening to me, no debates.
wow.
And Bernie would be okay. The only problem with Bernie is that Trump would say, what was it? When's the last time that you've been to Managua, Nicaragua, or Havana?
Right.
You know?
And that brings in the Red Scare and all of this Russiagate stuff, and I think that had an impact in the Super Tuesday balloting too. I think some of that stuff hurt Bernie, and it will hurt even more if he gets on the debate stage with Donald Trump. And everybody keeps talking about how great Trump is on the debate stage. I mean, I don't know if he was that great in 2016. Yeah. The other thing about it is he's 4 years older now. He's not as sharp as he once was. I'll tell you that. Donald Trump probably would not be quite as good as he was before. That might be overstated a little bit. The one thing before we lose you here, Doc, that I wanted to ask you about, see if you had any feel for this at all. I'm looking at the exit polling coming out of, California and Texas and these big primary Super Tuesday states. The youth vote, the young people, they weren't there. Not like they needed to be. Particularly, they had a lot to do with the reason that Bernie didn't do any better than he did. And if Bernie's going to move ahead, and certainly if he's going to win a general election, he needs those young people. Have you got any idea why they kind of went missing?
Never taken my course. So
no, I wish I had.
You don't realize that when we hit the week when we do campaigns and elections, I show a lot of data on who votes, who doesn't vote, and so on. Young voters have always underperformed. Young voters underperformed in most, except for when Barack Obama was running in the Iowa caucuses. Younger voters they're transitional in their life. This is one reason. They are not like somewhat older people who hopefully have a job. They live somewhere. They're there. They're part of the community. Younger voters very often are in the middle of going from somewhere to somewhere else, from high school, college, from college, somewhere else after that. And their lives are very chaotic. I mean, I work with them every day. I've worked with them for 50 years at Iowa State. And, they have relationship issues. They have pressure on them to perform in their classes. They're working part-time, sometimes 2 jobs. They're often in networks nowadays that are social networks that have virtually no political content. I mean, Instagram, you can find some politics on Instagram, but for the most part, my students are looking at other things that are more entertainment rather than information. And older voters are paying attention more still to traditional media, maybe online newspapers, certainly cable television and so on. Young voters don't watch any of that. And so older voters are more concerned whether they're conservative Republicans or Democrats or liberals, about long-term issues like healthcare and job security and things like the wage gap that is growing and growing and growing. And so they're more motivated to vote. You cannot build a reliable political organization on young voters. And the other thing that I would add, and this is, I grew up in Latin America. My mother was from Spain. I am a Latino, okay? Yo soy Latino. Soy blanco, pero soy Latino porque me nací en Colombia y me crié en Colombia. And I've studied, and I'm a member of LULAC. I'm a founding member. I'm looking at the certificate. I'm a founding member of LULAC Council 307, which is the LULAC Council in Des Moines.
Right.
But Latino voters often underperform even more than young voters. And so when I hear these media people who are, many of them pretty ignorant, honestly, I don't know how they get the job. I guess they look good and they can make their mouth move without stopping, and stuff comes out of their mouth continuously. But, they keep talking about the Latino vote, but in statistics, as you go back and look at Latino turnout, registration and turnout is way underperforms who is actually a U.S. citizen, Hispanic, Latino, Latina, and who could vote and could register, but they don't. And in some instances nowadays, it's because of the fear that if you go and register to vote and there's anything about your family, maybe they came to the U.S. Illegally, that you are going to then be tagged. You're going to have the immigration service come after you or your family, and it's too risky. And so, what was amazing was the African-American turnout for Biden. What was amazing was the low African-American Black turnout for Bernie Sanders. And that's one thing I think, if I'm a Sandinista or a Sandernista, sorry about that, that I would ask myself, why is Bernie Sanders not doing well with Black voters? I mean,
yeah, the only thing I can say, but it probably doesn't measure up very well with a 2016 comparison in the primaries. I look at that and I think, and we're all about the primaries, and I'm all into this. My wife and I, my God, we're all balled up about Super Tuesday and that type of thing. But really, the primary season is much more for people that are kind of embedded in the political process. These are people that, if they're not organizers and activists, they're certainly closely attuned to their parties, and they're a big part of it. And I think with the minority voters in primaries, that's what you see a lot. That, supports a candidate like Joe Biden, for example. But then the masses that aren't so actively involved hopefully will come out in a general election and support, a Bernie Sanders. At least that's what the Sandernistas, as you call them, would hope. But I don't know if that argument holds water necessarily or not. And I was really shocked by the youth vote. I can put it in my own context, and you can remember this. I flash back to the 70s when George Wallace was running. My God, I was a college student. I was unemployed at times. I was on, I had friends. We were eating commodity cheese. People remember that and that type of thing. And George Wallace was running for president. And, of course, the establishment was horrified, shocked, afraid of George Wallace, for good reason. But I remember thinking at the time, what the hell, let her buck, who cares, And if they'd have had a rally somewhere, I might have went. You know why? Because I might have met a chick. At a rally, you get 300,000 people, get a bunch of people together. Yeah, I'll go to that thing. Yeah. But, did I vote? Would I go down and stand in line at a polling place? You're not going to meet any chicks at a polling place.
That's a great story. That's a great story you tell. The other thing, and I know our time is up, but shocking performance failure of voting machines and the voting system in California.
Yeah.
Shocking. I mean, lines that had to be there for 3 hours or more. Let me say something at the end here.
Yeah.
We were not only criticized, but the Iowa caucuses were destroyed by nuclear missile strikes that it's too hard for people, people who are working people who are old and sick. They have to go, to these places at 7 p.m. How about standing in line for 3 or 4 hours in California in a primary where you go and vote on a voting machine? I haven't heard a single media person say that is shocking. That is discouraging a lot of people from voting, because it's very, very difficult for any kinds of people, even though you can go any time of day. But if you have to be there for 3 or 4 hours, an older person with a bad hip, they don't provide chairs. They don't give you wheelchairs. They don't provide you with cookies and a water bottle. Apparently, in some of these polling places, you're not allowed to bring in any food or anything like that. So we have to fix the voting system in the United States. Get those companies that are producing these malfunctioning machines and put them on a blacklist to ban them from ever producing more voting machines, and have somebody who knows how to do it, because these are commercial companies. They make their machines, they do them quick. They say, yeah, we have a lot of security, but their systems just don't seem to work very well.
Well, I'm with you, Doc. And as you mentioned, we're out of time. I hate to run away here, but we've got to hang it up for today. So, all right, Super Tuesday's gone by us now, and, I should remember how these things work. But what do you look forward to now in the future? It's not a debate, obviously, but I'm kind of thinking about when we can circle back and meet up with you again. What should our viewers be looking for?
I mean, we now have the beginning of an endless cycle of primaries.
Yeah.
Next week, we have a primary. We have primaries in Michigan. We have primaries all over the place. Florida still hasn't had a primary. And so this is going to continue to be worthwhile to watch, to look at what happens in the Midwest, in Wyoming and Nebraska and other places for the Democrats. For the Republicans, we might as well say that, Trump is the candidate of the party. There's no competition. There's no primary challenges. So we're just looking at the Democrats. And obviously in some of these states, I have given keynote speeches in Idaho and in North Dakota, and the Democrat who lives there came to my talk, which was a community organization, but there are no Democrats there, so it's not a big deal. Plus, there are not a lot of delegates up there either.
Yeah.
But they're still interesting, and we'll see how Biden and Sanders compete with each other going that direction. Elizabeth Warren needs to drop out. She needs to drop out. I've heard that she wants to stay in so that she can bring the delegates that she has, which is right now 36 delegates, to the convention and bargain and say, oh, you need some delegates. I've got 36 delegates. I'll give them to you if you make me ambassador to Ukraine. No, not Ukraine, but to Paris or London, or make me Secretary of Health and Human Services. I think that, is not a good idea. I think she needs to drop out and support Bernie Sanders.
Well, here's where my ultimate cynic comes in, and we'll close with this. I look at Elizabeth Sanders, and I think she might be hoping to hang around till she gets to the convention. If Biden implodes with some crazy gaffe or something it's a potential, it's a possibility, then it would be, okay, Democratic Party, do you want somebody that's got an affinity for the DNC and for those moderate centrist opinions, or do you want Bernie Sanders? Because Joe just blew up, and nobody else is left. And we wanted a woman in 2016, and here I am. And I don't know. That's cynicism in its maximum.
No, there is a woman besides Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, a woman of color.
There is Hillary Clinton.
In the wings. Yeah, God, Doc.
No, at the national convention, if everything goes south, the delegates can select anyone, even if they haven't run in a single primary or caucus.
Yeah, people don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they go, well, Hillary Clinton is terrific. She got more popular votes last time. This time she'll go and campaign in Michigan and Pennsylvania and other places where she didn't in Ohio. And Hillary Clinton is ready to roll. And her, hairstylist and her clothing person has gotten rid of those horrible pantsuits that she wears and put her in some professional looking clothes that make her look like a presidential candidate. They can say, Hillary, come up here and nominate her. I don't think they're going to nominate Elizabeth Warren. Someone who has failed so badly in every state. She came in third in her own
Massachusetts,
state.
yeah.
Okay?
I
don't think so.
All right.
I respect your opinion, but I think you're wrong with that one.
I think I am too. And I hope you're wrong about Hillary Clinton, so we're even.
There you go.
There we we go. All right. Well, you get on to your class, and maybe we'll visit with you here again online. I hope the coronavirus doesn't run wild with everybody, and we'll get back with you as these primaries move along. My God. Yeah, that's the doc. He's not a medical doctor, obviously, but he is the doctor. Politics, as they're called, the Lucan Endowed Professor of Political Science at Iowa State University and the author of American Government and Politics Today, the book that's always over my right shoulder in all of these podcasts. We'll be back with him again soon. Thanks, everybody, for tuning us in. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click that bell so that you're a subscriber and you get all of the podcasts. But for right now, that's going to do it. That's another podcast by George.